I was sitting at my sister's engagement party when I quietly mentioned it was my 3-year anniversary with Jamie. My mother didn't even look at me. "Hannah, please. Tonight's about Vanessa's real future, not your little situation." My sister Vanessa laughed from across the table. 3 years with a bartender? That's not an anniversary, that's a warning sign. The whole table erupted in laughter. Jamie squeezed my hand under the table. He didn't say a word. What they didn't know was that Jamie had a question to ask, and I had an answer that would change everything. "My name's Hannah Lewis. I'm 26 years old. I teach art to 3rd graders at Lincoln Elementary. I make okay money. Not great, but okay. Enough to pay my bills and save a little every month. My family? They're different. My mother sells luxury real estate. She drives a Mercedes and wears heels that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. My father owns a consulting firm. They live in a neighborhood where the lawns are always perfect and the neighbors compare vacation homes. My sister Vanessa is 29. She just got engaged to Preston, a corporate lawyer who talks about his bonus like other people talk about the weather. My family worships them. Then there's me. And Jamie. Jamie's 28. He works as a bartender at a downtown restaurant. He makes craft cocktails and comes home smelling like citrus and bitters. He's kind. He's thoughtful. He remembers things I mentioned weeks ago. We built our relationship on budget road trips and cooking dinner together. We split bills. We support each other. But my family? They've never seen any of that. They see a bartender. Not serious. No ambition. A phase I need to grow out of. Jamie never defends himself when they make their little comments. He just smiles and changes the subject. He's private about his background, his plans. He doesn't brag. And honestly, I've spent 3 years caught between 2 worlds. Loving Jamie, craving my family's approval. I know how that sounds. Pathetic, maybe. But when your own mother compares you to your sister at every holiday, every dinner, every phone call, it wears you down. If you've ever had your family judge someone you love, drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? I read every single one, because tonight, Vanessa's engagement party was about to test everything, and I wasn't prepared for what Jamie had planned. The dinner was at this upscale Italian place downtown, white tablecloths, candles flickering in glass holders, the kind of place where the waiter describes every dish like it's a work of art. I sat next to Jamie. Vanessa and Preston sat at the head of the table, surrounded by our parents, our Uncle Richard, and a few of Vanessa's friends. Everyone kept toasting. To Vanessa and Preston! To their beautiful future! To real success! I tried to participate. I smiled. I clapped. At one point, between the appetizers and the main course, I leaned toward my mother. It's actually our anniversary tonight. 3 years. She was mid-sip of her wine. She set the glass down slowly. We're not doing participation trophies tonight, Hannah. Vanessa's friend Courtney whispered to the woman next to her, but loud enough for everyone to hear. 3 years with a bartender. Bless her heart. They giggled. I felt my face go hot. Preston started talking about his promotion, his new corner office, the house he and Vanessa were looking at in the suburbs. My mother turned to Jamie. Still slinging drinks, Jamie? Her tone was sweet. Poisonous sweet. Jamie didn't flinch. He just nodded. I'm exactly where I want to be. Uncle Richard snorted. That's code for no ambition. The table laughed again. I stared at my plate. My hands were shaking. Then Vanessa stood up, glowing. She announced her Italy destination wedding. Tuscany. Vineyard ceremony. The works. She turned to me with this bright smile. Maybe Jamie can bartend at the reception. More laughter. I couldn't breathe. I excused myself. I walked to the bathroom as calmly as I could. But the second I got inside, I locked the door and started crying. I stared at myself in the mirror, mascara running, red eyes. Why did I keep showing up to these things? There was a knock. Hannah? Jamie's voice. Soft. I opened the door. He stepped inside and wiped my tears with his thumb. Do you trust me? He asked. I nodded. I didn't know what else to do. I have something to say. Out there. Are you okay with that? My stomach dropped. Jamie, please, don't make a scene. It'll just make it worse. He kissed my forehead. Trust me. We walked back to the table together. Everyone was on dessert. Tiramisu, espresso. Jamie stood up. He tapped his glass with his fork. The table went quiet. I froze. I had no idea what he was about to do, and I was terrified he'd try to defend himself and just give them more ammunition. But Jamie just smiled. I'd like to say something before we finish tonight. My mother's expression was pure ice. Jamie looked at me, and then he sat back down. Actually, never mind. Not yet. I stared at him. What? The dinner ended an hour later. My family barely spoke to us as we left. I should have known that wasn't the end of it. 2 days later, I got added back to the family group chat. I'd been removed months ago. I didn't even know. But suddenly, there I was. And I could scroll back through weeks of messages. My mother. Jamie's a deadbeat. I don't know what Hannah sees in him. Vanessa. She's always been the disappointment. My father. Some people just don't have standards. I sat on my couch, reading message after message, my chest tight. Jamie came out of the kitchen. He saw my face. What's wrong? I handed him my phone. He read in silence. His jaw clenched. But he didn't yell. He didn't even look surprised. He handed the phone back. There's more to my story than they know, he said quietly. Soon. I didn't understand, but I didn't push. 2 weeks. Later, Vanessa had her bridal brunch. I wasn't invited. I found out because my aunt posted photos on Facebook. Only the important family members, Thosh, Dream Team. The pictures showed my mother, Vanessa, Courtney, a few cousins, mimosas, matching robes. I called my mother. Why wasn't I invited? She laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, honey, it was for people who understand Vanessa's vision. Besides, you and Jamie will probably just do courthouse, right? What plans could you have on your budgets? I hung up. I cried for an hour. Jamie held me on the couch. He didn't say much. He just rubbed my back. Finally, he whispered, 2 more weeks. Can you trust me? 2 weeks until what? Just trust me. I wanted to, but I didn't know what he was planning, and I was scared it would blow up in our faces. Then, a week later, my mother called. Her voice was sweet, unusually sweet. Hannah, your father and I feel terrible about everything. We'd like to have you and Jamie over for dinner. An apology. Dinner? I was suspicious, but I was also desperate for things to get better. So I said yes. We showed up Friday night, and the second I walked into the dining room, I knew it wasn't an apology. It was an intervention. My parents sat on one side of the table, Vanessa and Preston on the other, Uncle Richard at the head. In front of my father was a manila folder. He opened it, pulled out printed pages. We've done some research on Jamie's prospects, my father said, and we're concerned. I looked at Jamie. His face was calm, unreadable. Preston leaned forward. Bartending isn't a career, buddy, it's a gig. Uncle Richard nodded. We want to help you, son. Preston slid a business card across the table. I can get you a real job. Mailroom at my firm, so you can start acting like a man. My blood boiled. I stood up. We're leaving. But Jamie didn't move. He looked at Preston, at my father. at my mother, and then he smiled. "Saturday," he said. "Our anniversary dinner. I'm hosting. You're all invited." My mother scoffed. "We're supposed to celebrate mediocrity?" Jamie stood. "Come or don't. Your choice." He took my hand. We walked out. In the car, I finally exploded. "Why did you invite them? They just humiliated you." Jamie kept his eyes on the road. "Saturday, in front of everyone. Trust me." I didn't know what to think anymore. Over the next few days, I started noticing things. Jamie got phone calls. A lot of them. He'd step outside and talk in this professional tone I'd never heard before. I saw an email on his laptop once. Subject line: "Meeting confirmed. Development team." There was mail, business journals, trade magazines. One morning, I saw him at a coffee shop with a man in a tailored suit. They were going over paperwork. Jamie said he was picking up extra shifts. But he didn't smell like the bar when he came home. His hands weren't cut or burned like they usually were after a busy night. I finally asked him directly, "What are you hiding?" He looked at me for a long moment. Then he pulled a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. My breath caught. "Not yet," he said. "Saturday, in front of everyone." My hands were shaking. "Jamie, I've been planning this for months," he said. "Not just a proposal, a revelation." I didn't sleep much that week. My best friend Morgan came over Saturday morning to help me pick a dress. She's a fellow teacher. We've known each other since college. She's seen me cry over my family more times than I can count. She held up a deep blue dress. Simple. Elegant. "You're going to stun them into silence," she said. I tried to smile, but I was terrified. Meanwhile, Jamie was across town meeting with someone named Leo. I didn't know who Leo was, but I found out later. Leo was Jamie's business partner. They were co-owners of a new hospitality venture. 3 years in development. Silent. Under the radar. And that morning, Leo confirmed the final investor agreements. "Press release goes out this morning," Leo said. Jamie nodded. "Good." I reluctantly texted my family the dinner invite. The responses came in fast. "Vanessa, are we supposed to celebrate mediocrity?" Uncle Richard, "I'll come. Someone needs to talk sense into him." My mother, "This should be interesting." Saturday morning, I was making coffee when my phone buzzed. A text from Morgan. "Have you seen this?" She sent a link. It was the local business journal. The headline read, "New hospitality group launches with $2.4 million investment, 3 locations planned." And there was a photo. Jamie and Leo. I stared at the screen. My hands started shaking. I read the article twice, 3 times. Co-owners, fine dining, craft cocktail focus, investors from New York and Chicago. Opening next month. Jamie walked into the kitchen. I held up my phone. "Why didn't you tell me?" He poured himself coffee. Calm. Like this was normal. "I needed to do this for the right reasons," he said. "Not to prove anything, not to impress anyone. But now?" He looked at me. "Now I want them to see their metrics for measuring people are broken." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. An hour later, my mother texted. No words. Just a screenshot of the same article. Then silence. But they all still showed up to dinner. Jamie had reserved a private dining room at an upscale restaurant downtown. It was beautiful. Warm lighting. Leather chairs. A long table set with wine glasses and fresh flowers. My family arrived together. My mother looked around, clearly trying to figure out how we'd afforded it. "How'd you afford this, Hannah?" I didn't answer. Jamie greeted everyone. He was calm, gracious. We sat down. Jamie ordered champagne. Expensive champagne. Uncle Richard raised an eyebrow. "Trying to impress us now?" Little late, don't you think? Jamie just smiled. The waiter brought the first course. Then Jamie reached into his jacket. He pulled out a folded copy of the business journal. He slid it across the table. My mother picked it up. Her eyes scanned the page. Her face went white. My father leaned over, read it. His mouth opened. Vanessa grabbed it next, then Preston. Silence. My mother stammered. We didn't know. Jamie's voice was calm, even. You didn't ask. You assumed. My father cleared his throat. This changes things. I cut him off. No, he's the same person you insulted yesterday. Preston looked uncomfortable. Jamie, I didn't mean... Jamie held up a hand. This restaurant? It's mine. Well, half mine. Opens next month? Vanessa's mouth fell open, and then Jamie stood up. He walked over to me, and he dropped to one knee. I couldn't breathe. He pulled out the velvet box, opened it. The ring was stunning. Custom. 3 carats. It caught the light like a small star. Hannah, he said, you've stood by me when no one else did. You saw me, not my job, not my bank account. Me. Tears were already streaming down my face. Will you marry me? I nodded. I couldn't speak. Yes. I finally whispered. Yes. He slipped the ring on my finger. The room was dead silent. My mother tried to stand. We always knew you'd... I turned to her. Stop. You didn't know. You mocked him. You excluded me. You called him a deadbeat. Her face crumpled. My father spoke quietly. Hannah, we made a mistake. I looked at him. For the first time, he looked sincere. I know, I said. But that doesn't erase what you did. Jamie stood. He looked at my family. You're welcome to finish your meal. On the house. But we're celebrating elsewhere. He took my hand. We walked out. Behind us, my family sat frozen, surrounded by their own assumptions, their own prejudice, and the evidence that they'd been wrong the whole time. Jamie and I drove to the diner where we had our first date. It's a small place. Vinyl booths, jukebox in the corner, the kind of place that smells like coffee and bacon no matter what time of day it is. We sat in the same booth, the one by the window. I stared at the ring on my finger. Jamie ordered 2 slices of pie, the same kind we'd shared 3 years ago. I spent so long wanting their approval. I said quietly, but it was never based on who I actually am. Jamie nodded. I know. My phone buzzed. Texts from my mother, my father, Vanessa. Apologies, long ones. Preston sent one too. He wanted to talk business opportunities. I typed one message and sent it to all of them. I need time. You heard us. That doesn't disappear because circumstances changed. Then I turned my phone off. Jamie and I ate pie in silence for a while. Then he started talking about his vision for the restaurants, the menus, the cocktails, the teams he wanted to build. I realized something as I listened. He'd been protecting his dream, building it quietly, not for applause, not for validation, for the right reasons. And I'd been so focused on my family's approval that I'd almost missed it. For 3 years, I've been caught between 2 worlds, I said. Jamie looked at me. I finally understand. I continued. I never needed their approval. I needed my own. He reached across the table, took my hand. That ring isn't just a promise from me, I said. It's a promise to myself. Never again will I let anyone make me feel small. Jamie smiled. We stayed in that booth for hours, talking, laughing, planning, and for the first time in years, I felt free. If you've ever been underestimated by the people who should have believed in you most, you're not alone. Hit that subscribe button and tell me your story in the comments. Where are you watching from? I read every single one, and your story matters. Maybe your family dismissed your partner, your job, your dreams. Maybe you're still fighting to prove yourself. Here's what I learned. The right people don't need proof. They see you from day one. Everyone else? They'll see you when you're ready to be seen. Or not at all. Either way, you'll be free. Thanks for being here. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next story.